we have to make painful choices. I'm speaking to you Africans who are Christian, who are present here. What choices have you made? Have you made choices to run away to the United States to get the green card? Is that your choice? Have you made a choice to run away to Europe to flip hamburger? Have you made a choice to run away to go to Europe and to be humiliated at the embassies of the United States of America, Australia, and the United Kingdom? I'm submitting to us that we must change, because the divine instruction is that each one of us must make do with what we have. It cannot be right that a continent that is so blessed has our young men and women with only one ambition: to go to the United States. I know families where when wives are pregnant, they want to go to the United States that they may give birth there, that their child may be a citizen of the United States of America. The United States of America was not built by an army of angels. No, it was built by human beings. And I'm submitting to us that going forward, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we must make a choice. And I'm submitting to us that if your Christianity is the kind of Christianity that only appeals to your emotions and make you feel good without making you good, that is not Christianity. Because there is a variety of Christianity today that makes you feel good, but it doesn't make you good. And I'm submitting to us that we must change now, because if we don't change now, you are going to be subdued by other civilization. And as I said at one forum, and I repeat it now, there are two ways of being at the dinner table of civilization. You can be at the dinner table as a diner or as a waiter. Choose you now. Whether you want to be a diner or a waiter, choose you now. But even as I proceed, I have not forgotten that there is another book, that there is the battle between Elijah and the gods of Baal. Today, we have erected unto ourselves gods of Baal. I go to many churches, and there is the prosperity gospel. The gospel that tells us that the church is a casino, where depending on how much you pay as a tithe or givings, then you'll get blessing. That is not the God that I worship. And if there was such a God, I would refuse to worship such a God. The God that I worship and the Christ that I follow, I remember on that day when an old woman had given the smallest contribution, he said, that woman has given the most, because there was sacrificial giving. We must now interrogate our Christianity, because Paul says, I would want you to be like the Christians of Berea. Because the Christians of Berea, once you'd preach to them, they would go to the gospel and ask, are you preaching the right thing, or you are preaching make good gospel? I'm submitting to us that at critical moments in history there has always been a choice, and this is what Elijah is confronting the people with. He says, for how long shall you waver between two opinions? If God is God, worship God, and if Baal is God, worship Baal. I'm submitting to you that the time for choice is now. If material things are the things you want to worship, if you think that having Lamborghini, if you think like having Ferrari and all these other goodies is the right thing, then you can go on. But the last time I checked, greed is insatiable. It's like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the more you want. So choose you now. You Christians and Africans shall come to the white men who are present in this room shortly. I'm submitting to us, and there is a preacher that I love for only one thing, or sometimes I think he go overboard on his love for Israel, John Hagee. And he says one thing that I love, the uncompromising message of Jesus Christ It is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So that there is no question of humoring you in the church. It is telling you as it is. And I'm saying that even as we are waiting for heaven, and heaven will come in the fullness of time, in the intervening period we must eat. In the intervening period we must go to school. In the intervening period we must make Africa great. And we can make Africa great. What pains me most is when I see young men dying in the Mediterranean Sea. You know, a long time ago, they took Africans to Europe and Caribbean a long time ago. And they were wailing and kicking. And I've seen the dramatization of Alex Haley's Roots. And I've seen how in Roots a young man is taken from the Gambia, Kunta Kinte. And I've seen how Kunta Kinte refuses to change his name. And they call him Toby, but he says, I'm Kunta Kinte. Ultimately, for strategic reasons, he accepts the name Toby. But he retains Kunta Kinte throughout the ages. And 200 years later, Alex Haley is able to trace his roots. But today, young Africans are going to Europe willingly to be enslaved. It's slavery by another name. Because you are paying wages, you are paid wages that can barely keep you alive. I'm submitting to you who are here, Africa is the land of action. I'm submitting to you here that the Europeans will never respect you if you don't respect yourselves. Because respect is earned, not given. I'm submitting to you that you'll never sit on the table of civilization as equal partners unless you are demonstrated that you are worthy of being a diner rather than a waiter. Choose you now what you shall do. The book of the prophet Joshua is also another book. It speaks to the Israelites. The Israelites were in captivity for 400 years. They brought Moses unto them. Moses delivered them. But at critical moments they wanted to go back to the flesh pots of Egypt. At critical moments God parted the Red Sea. At critical moments there was a pillar of fire to separate them from the Pharaoh. But they still went back to their old ways. And an aging and a dying Joshua is telling them the point for making the choice is now. When we were taken away from Ur of the Chaldeans, Terah was worshipping idols. Abraham was worshipping idols. There was a change in him and he became Abraham. And now you have come to the land of the Amorites. And you are worshipping their gods. Choose you now whom you shall serve, the Lord God or the Lord of the Amorites. As for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. I'm submitting to us now. Choose you now whom you shall serve, the Lord whom you only serve on Sundays, or the Lord that is imminent and must be served every minute. Choose you now. As Christians and as Africans, one can go on and on, but let me turn to the white people who are present in this assembly, who are our brethren. You came here by divine instruction to evangelize Africa, but in your land, God no longer has the opportunity to operate. That is why I'm happy to see you here. Because Africa now leads in evangelization. And this is how God operates. There was a time when the white man came here to evangelize. They lost God. I'm not saying that there is a godless society, but there is a sense in which when one travels to Europe, one sees cathedrals being converted into discotheques and museums. And here we are struggling to operate in a tent. How I wish that we could have the faith spoken of in the Bible, that we could uproot the cathedrals that they may settle here. But But I know that that is wishful thinking, that there is no abracadabra in this thing, that I know. But I'm submitting to us that your presence here is a good thing. Is a demonstration that we are children of God, children of a God of diversity. You know, and this is very ecumenical. Some of you will be offended, but I do not care whether you are offended or not. The great Mahatma Gandhi, whom I respect, was not a Christian, but at a critical moment one day he said that he remembers one day in his homeland in Gujarat, when the person who was presiding over the service read from the Hindu Gita through to the Jewish Torah, through to the Muslim Quran, and to the Christian Bible, reading from one book to the other, as if it did not matter which book was being read as long as God was being worshipped. And there is a sense in which I found power in that. You do not know the whole truth. None of us. We do not know how God operates. And that is why Christ tells us, judge not lest you be judged. There is a puritanical streak that sometimes we Christians, particularly those who are born again, have. We are quick to judge contrary to the divine instruction. Let us be slow to judge. Who knows how God operates? Who knows how he does his things? Because all of you, including myself, we are so sinful that if it was by works alone, none of you are heaven bound. None of you. You may think that you are good, you may think that you are doing all good things, but he says none of you is heaven bound except by the grace of God. And if we appreciate that, then we would be very humble. But even as I talk about these things and change now, I'm not unaware that I was asked to speak for 25 minutes. And being aware that I was asked to speak for 25 minutes lets me now move with jet-like speed in the direction of my conclusion. What is it that I've been saying? I'm saying that we who have the advantage of knowing God, we are in a unique position. Because we may sin, and throughout the Bible there are many sinners. I used to wonder why God said that David was a man after his heart. This man David, who took Uriah's wife, this man David, who took Abigail, this man David, who sent Uriah to be killed, this man David,